All right, what's up, YouTube universe, and the IWC. Um, this third video I want to do, I think this will be it for the night, but something crossed my mind, and I want to get in depth to it because I think a lot of people might have something to say about it. And for those who know who the Shield are, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns, it got me thinking lately, and how do they, along with Aces&Eights of Impact Wrestling, led by Bully Ray, compare to older stables like Nation of Domination, Far Foundation, NWO Wolfpack, NWO Black and White, along with, you know, all the LWO, Blue World Order as well. Disciple. Now, again, I'm not sure if Disciples of a New Church was a stable or was that a tag team. I'm not really sure, but again, there's a lot of different stables out there that we've always. There's a lot of stables that we've had. How can I forget D-Generation X? How can I forget that? Probably one of the greatest stables of all time. And the Corporation, Ministry of Darkness. Okay, so if we look at these guys and say, okay, well, how do they stack up against past stables? And well, the Shield is brand new. It's fresh. I think a lot of people like it because it kind of has an attitude vibe. It's like they're standing. There are three guys who have future potential, and they're just standing up against. Excuse me for a second. Standing up against justice, I guess, and they're just taking out everybody, and I think they're still undefeated as a team, but when you compare them to, along with Aces&Eights, when you compare them to Corporation, Corporation was like the family-oriented team. A lot of people in that shape, a lot of people in that. Nation of Domination, The Rock with Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown, Owen Hart at one time, Godfather, D-Generation X, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, Chyna, the Wolfpack, which was led by Kevin Nash, Macho Man, Conan, Sting, and Lex Luger, NWO Hollywood, or NWO Ice rather, Hollywood Hogan, Scott Norton, Scott Hall, Brian Adams at one point, Buff Bagwell, Scott Steiner, Bret Hart at one point. Just to go into depth into that, and you know what? I think the Shield and Aces&Eights have something going where a lot of fans can get into, can grow on. Aces&Eights is kind of a group where it kind of feels like you're watching the NWO again in a steady kind of way. I think a lot of people think it's almost like a ripoff of the NWO because you kind of get this feeling because they're conquered and they're conquering in numbers. And the NWO was a group where it just got large and big and just overpowering dominance over time. And Aces&Eights feels like a recycled version of the NWO to some degree, and some people would say that, some people wouldn't. But I mean, I like it all. And so, I don't know. I think the Shield could probably handle the Hart Foundation, Jimmy Anvil, Neidhart, Bret Hart. I think they could probably take it to them, but it's a different era, so you really know. But I think, right now we have something hot. Right now we have two factions for an individual companies that are doing something for everybody. You got this, and they each have something for everyone, I think. And as much as attention that TNA does not receive, I think bad ratings and all that kind of stuff, everyone has their own opinion and everyone has their view on what wrestling is and what they like and what they don't like. So when you tune in and watch what you see, you do a little comparison. So let's compare the Shield versus the NWO. Now, the NWO was more about numbers, and then the Shield is about three guys. Three. So I think the NWO was probably better based on how dominating they were. Um, the kind of personality that they brought. Plus, they had a really good leader in Hulk Hogan who was a hero who turned evil, which was an absolute brilliance. And by the way, 1996 Bash at the Beach when Hogan turned heel, which is probably which we can get into another time with the greatest heel turns of all time. And obviously Hulk Hogan would go number one. I mean, if any, there's no discussion right now. I don't think you can really put Hulk Hogan any lower than 2 or 3, based on the impact, as it were, of him becoming a bad guy. Excuse me. And I think if I remember correctly, fans threw bottles in the ring, kind of showing that they hated him and they were upset that he turned on him. But we can get into that into another thing. We're talking about stables here, but I think the Wolfpack was sort of like a branch off of the NWO Black and White. So let's perspective for a second. Nation of Domination versus the Shield, or Aces&Eights versus D-Generation X. Now, again, different eras, but again, we can have opinions and who would be better. And I think the numbers game for Aces&Eights would probably be a little bit better than D-Generation X, but I think D-Generation X was known for being able to take on odds. You got Triple H and Shawn Michaels were just somebody at the time, and they were ruthless, and they could handle anything. They had a way of getting under your skin. Speaking of which, if one of the greatest moments in WWF history, WWE, excuse me, forgot what year it is, when Austin played hide and seek with the D-Generation X on SmackDown. I believe that was in 1999, but we can get into that that's another moment we can get into later. So there's that, and let's see here. Okay, hold on a minute, I'm checking something. Alright, anyways, back to where we were going. I think the different stables, Hart Foundation and against the Shield. Now, how would that look? You got the technical wrestler Bret Hart. You had British Bulldog. Or no, was he? Yeah, he was part of that team at one point. Jim the Anvil Neidhart. We can also talk about tag teams in another video too. But yeah, Hart Foundation versus the Shield. How would that look? You never know. I mean, I think you have technical wrestling in that kind of material here. I think Bret Hart, if he were to face Dean Ambrose one-on-one, I think that would have been kind of an interesting thing. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns against Owen Hart and Jim the Anvil. Whew, what a match that would have been. That would have been an interesting match, So I think, in this day and age, as we evolve into the future, we seem to have, I think, less stables now because the wrestling business has kind of more focused on individuality, and gimmicks are more stamped on trying to become famous into their own mold. So, you got guys being solo trying to make a name for themselves, and I think it helps them because in wrestling now, being in the way it is, I think it helps when you don't have so much around you. But I think, again, stables are a good way to introduce a character. So eventually we will have the Shield dismember. Oh yes, I forgot. How could I forget? Evolution. How could I forget? Shocker. You know what? Evolution was an interesting stable themselves. Triple H was a nasty heel. Nasty. But, I mean, again, them versus the Shield, that could be really interesting. That's a fantasy matchup. Aces&Eights versus Evolution. I don't think there was going to be any contest because I think Evolution would have a leg up because Batista was a beast. literally. Triple H was manipulative, cerebral assassin, and again, the characters that the Evolution characters had, and all that kind of stuff. So, in that regard, I think, I think the 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 fact that we have what we have now is because of what we had in the past. And so, as we move forward, we can compare, contrast, criticize, congratulate, whatever. But the Shield is a very good group going on, and we have Aces and Eights, and there's something for everybody. I'm not sure what the stables are in Ring of Honor, but I mean, I think, again, as far as comparison and contrast, I think I think every stable in history has their own place where they belong. Oh, and I forgot ECW. Now, again, ECW, I don't really know any kind of stable. There's Raven's Flock. I forgot about Raven's Flock, too. Again, Raven's Flock, a very interesting stable. Now, Raven was manipulative. He was kind of like a silent type. Imagine him versus Dean Ambrose. Whew. That would be interesting. Quote the Raven, nevermore. The Luchadores, they had their own kind of grouping, but it wasn't actually a stable. But I mean, I think that would be the LWO with Eddie Guerrero, but rest in peace, Eddie. So what do you guys think about the stables? So like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll hit you back later. Peace.